right, Dan. There it is. Go inside. No, get inside.
There are no words when there are so many pieces.
It was just loud. It was so loud we couldn't even hear each other talk.
When there is so much destruction.
There was nothing that we could say that could really describe just how bad it looked.
While pictures provide the vision, words provide the perspective.
What we're doing matters.
Words give the emotion.
Every person that we came in contact with, as soon as we got here to Woodland Street, they say, go to Burger Up, go to Burger Up. It is gone.
Words reveal the heart.
These neighbors, I don't know who these people are. They just came down the street. Did I need some help? They helped me.
When tornadoes carved their path through the city of Nashville and east into Wilson, Putnam, and Smith counties, dozens of News Channel 5 journalists found the words and pictures to reveal what had just happened to a region shaken to the core. From the News Channel 5 network, this is a special presentation. Run to Cover, reporting Tennessee's deadly tornadoes. Monday, March 2nd, 11 p.m. Meteorologist Bree Smith interrupts regular programming to make viewers aware of what at the time is a severe thunderstorm warning. Smith fears the storm will continue to strengthen.
The tornado warning that was in effect for Dixon is being extended as a severe thunderstorm warning through 12:45 for Cheatham, Davidson, Sumner, and Wilson County. The storm's just going to hug that entire line. Right after the 10 o'clock news ended, there was one storm that just fired really quickly west of Carroll County, and I remember looking at Henry and saying, I don't like this one. A reminder to you, this storm was also the storm that had the tornado warning on it as it went through Dixon County and it went through Hickman County.
Tuesday, March 3rd, 12:32 a.m.
We're about to get a tornado warning for Davidson County.
The National Weather Service issues a tornado warning for Davidson County.
So it's right on top of I-40, moving very quickly to the east. You said 45 miles per hour
to the east.
All right, let's put a storm track on this. The short version is it's going to be here real fast. And so you need to be in that lowest, most interior room. Putting it near John C. Toone Airport, that's where Sky 5 typically takes off from. Cumberland Heights in the 12:44 time frame. Nashville, 12:46. That's 10 minutes. Clearly, if you're with us on social media, if you're with us on TV right now, you're aware. You're getting that information. You can be that critical next step in alerting friends or family members, calling them and making sure that they're awake and that they know what's going on.
Tuesday, March 3rd, 12:40 a.m. Meteorologist Henry Rothenberg spots the tornado from the rear parking lot of News Channel 5. Photographer Dan Blummel joins him outside to capture this footage.
Power flash right there. The tornado is coming. All right, Dan. There it is. Go inside. No, get inside.
When I was standing out here, I was watching the power flashes. And when we got to the flash that was about 50 to 75 yards from our location, that was when, in my mind, I said to Dan, it's time for us to go in.
You need to head to your safe place. This tornado is on the ground.
This is happening. This is not radar indicated. This is not, we're getting reports of. This is happening before my eyes and before your eyes if you're watching our coverage on Channel 5.
The station takes a power hit. Lights and monitors turn off in the studio.
Your body and your mind just kind of go into, I would almost say it was like there was like a white noise inside. It just, things become very still and you become hyper-focused on what you're hearing, what I was seeing. I remember the lights didn't all turn off and come back on. There was about 6 power hits and it was a gradual flickering of them coming on. Like you could feel the electrical, system in our building almost sort of shudder and struggle to stay on and struggle to stay on. There were about 6 hits with that and you saw the monitors sort of coming off sequentially. I didn't fully know if we were on the air, but I knew if we were that I had to keep going, because it was in Nashville, it was intensifying quickly. I just kept going. This is still an incredibly powerful storm. We've got a strong hail signature on the north side of it, and then we have the tornadic signature that extends just to the south side of it. So to give you a sense of where this is as far as location of danger, Madison through Maplewood, This is this general area right here. That's where the hail signature is. Notice how close the radar is. As the storm gets closer to the radar, the signature will likely decrease. That doesn't mean the storm is weakening. It means that the radar just can't see the top of it. When it's very close to it, you can't see it. The tornado threat would be on the south side of this storm. So it would be right here. It's moving very quickly, 50 miles per hour, racing to the east. So here's a storm track on the area of concern for rotation. This is moving towards Hermitage. This is moving towards Opry. 1 1/4 inch hail possible with this through Davidson, southern portions of Sumner, Wilson. Large, extremely dangerous tornado being confirmed by the National Weather Service. It does not get more real than this.
With high-density areas losing electricity, the station streaming on mobile devices takes on significant importance.
I'm trying to make sure that our stream is on and that people can see us. The studio is pitch black, so immediately I have my laptop upstairs. I'm trying to listen to Bree and Henry, and I'm just tweeting anything I can.
I didn't know how bad it was outside immediately our station, but I knew we just had to keep going with it, especially since it was taking such a terrifying path.
I'm just praying that they can see us. Yeah. And in my head, I'm thinking, if they can't, I will do what I can. And in that moment, it was tweeting.
The concern of it's almost 1 in the morning. Are these people awake?
Typically, you find your population centers along an interstate. That's exactly what it is for us. And so it just became really clear to me, I need to tell people where this is. I need to tell people where it's going. Here is a look at the storm track from where the likely rotation is. Again, real significant concern here that this could potentially even cross an interstate. So as far as timing on this puts it near Rutland School in 5 to 7 minutes, puts it into Beckwith School at 1:05, Silver Springs 1:05, moving it just north towards Mount Juliet Junior High School in 4 minutes. The storm system, a significant tornado threat. Do not go outside. Make sure you're in that lowest, most interior room. We talk a lot about what that room is. It is a closet on a low level. It's a bathroom on a low level. Get yourself in the bathtub, put your hands over the back of your head, and cover your head. You don't want to spend much time trying to grab things, but if you can take a blanket or a pillow and put that over the top of your head, it can help protect you from any debris that may happen, or potentially even sometimes the most dangerous thing in these tornadoes is if they pick up, say, fence posts. Those can be shot through the air like projectiles somewhat. And so that's part of the reason why it's important to cover and protect your body as best you can.
The EF3 tornado, packing 165-mile-per-hour winds, continues its path due east, striking the communities of Germantown, East Nashville, North Nashville, Donaldson, Hermitage, and Mount Juliet. As soon as the immediate threat to Nashville is over, senior meteorologist Leland Statham and meteorologist Heather Mathis leave their homes to join the weather coverage.
So when the tornadoes hit, I was actually about to walk out the door. I saw the hook echo on radar that Henry and Bree were showing. I actually texted both of them and said, look, until this hook echo, which kind of defines a tornado on radar, I says, until this gets past downtown, I'm not leaving the house. Seconds after that, they were showing this tornado on Skycam, and it was just amazing to watch what was happening. Few minutes after that, I then leave my home to come to downtown, and the crazy thing is at that point, it's after the destruction has been made. And so there are certain streets where I would normally get off that I'm having to snake my way around because there are light poles all over the place. There are power lines that are down. Actually, before I got off the interstate, there was a FedEx truck that had been turned over on its side. So it was just very surreal to be driving in the dark to see all of that, to make my way in.
I felt so helpless being at home, watching that tornado go through the city of Mount Juliet and in Wilson County in general, because that's my home. I wanted so badly to be in the studio with Bree to help, to track it, to let people know where it was going. I wanted so badly to be there. As soon as I knew my family was safe and that tornado had gotten away from their house. I remember calling our producer, Bethany. She's our executive producer in the morning. And she answered it and said, yes, come in. She knew exactly why I had called. And I just immediately, I didn't even shower. I started throwing makeup on so I looked okay. I remember packing my go bag, putting a dress on because I thought I'd be on camera first with Bree and Leland, and then having a go bag to go out in the damage later.
The severity of the tornadoes isn't lost on Statham, adding March 3rd to a short list of infamous dates in Middle Tennessee history.
March 14th, 1933, tornado hits East Nashville. April 16th, 1998, tornado hits News Channel 5, goes into East Nashville. March 3rd, 2020, storm just north of downtown Nashville, Germantown, East Nashville hit. 3 huge days in Nashville weather history.
1:49 a.m. An EF4 tornado strikes Putnam County. For 8 minutes, 175-mile-per-hour winds ravaged the area, ultimately causing 18 deaths and 88 injuries.
The National Weather Service has just issued a tornado warning for Jackson, Overton, and Putnam counties until 2:15. This is the exact same storm that dropped a tornado in Nashville and moved quickly into parts of East Nashville over towards Old Hickory. You've seen the damage reports that came out of there. You have seen what this storm is capable of.
My name is Chris Conti.
What do you do here?
I'm a reporter at Channel 5. As soon as I realized that it was on the ground in downtown Nashville, I grabbed my things and I went to work.
News Channel 5 reporter Chris Conti arrives on scene in the Germantown area before first responders.
Bree, we are at the corner of Rosa Parks and Jefferson right in Germantown, and I will be honest with you, I have never seen damage quite like this. Centralized in a major metropolitan area, it's quite shocking. People are standing in the street trying to figure out exactly what happened here. This hit at the worst possible time in the middle of the night. We have some Metro Fire Department officers, firefighters who have just gotten here to Germantown because Henry was mentioning there are some people who they are concerned about might actually be trapped in their homes right now. A lot of these people that we're seeing out here, Bree and Leland, just don't have any place right now because so many buildings and homes and structures were devastated and just so severely damaged out here. Folks are just standing in the middle of 4th in their blankets and pajamas. It was dark. You couldn't see anything. All you could hear were fire alarms going off from buildings that had been hit and thunder in the distance. And every once in a while, the sky would just kind of be illuminated by lightning from the storm after it had passed by. I was holding a photographer's light because it was so dark out there. I mean, all the power was out. So I knew there would be no way to see anything unless we illuminated it. And this is what you see when you get a glimpse of light. This is the auto zone here that is sitting on Rosa Parks. A lot of you probably are familiar with where we are right now. So when the auto zone came down on top of itself, there was a car that was right here. Wait, was this your car? Yeah, this is my car. Okay.
News Channel 5 morning producer Whit Laxon relates how he was driving to work during the storm. The tornado threw his Nissan Murano into an auto zone on Rosa Parks Drive. Moments later, a family offered him shelter inside their vehicle.
What do you think just looking around at this damage?
I think I'm lucky to be alive and I've got a lot to process. I saw one piece of debris in a rotation, and then it was just, I couldn't see anything. There was so much debris hitting my car. I was a part of the story, and that's very strange to me. I'm sure I will have this epiphany about live life to the fullest and whatnot later. Right now, I'm feeling like some sort of advocate all of a sudden for stay home in a storm.
News Channel 5 reporter Matthew Torres gives viewers a look at damage around East Nashville. A block of restaurants and small businesses are torn apart.
I was with photojournalist Jimmy Farmer, and being from East Nashville, I already told the executive producer that morning that we have to go to East Nashville. I just passed it. The destruction, the damage, it looked horrendous. And so we went down Woodland Street.
This is once again Burger Up. You can see the water line, just the water gushing from the roof right now. And as this this is where we wanted to be, because every person that we came in contact with, as soon as we got here to Woodland Street, they say, go to Burger Up, go to Burger Up. It is gone.
And the fact that it's almost like you had this giant hand just went smack dab into the middle of Burger Up.
Music venue The Basement East was badly damaged, but what was more telling is what remains standing.
Right now, I want to show you, this was so obvious that we had to stop here. This is The Basement East on Woodland Street, a popular music venue here in East Nashville.
The fact that you saw the entire thing just gutted, water spewing out, and you just saw the I Believe in Nashville mural still there, and I thought, wow, that could not be more telling. This was so evident of what type of damage we're seeing here in East Nashville, let alone a very popular spot in East Nashville. So that's where we went. I had people sharing the live shot video on social media. That's when I realized, all right, obviously this was a big deal. I was just such in the mindset of doing the job that it didn't dawn on me that it was such a big deal, which I knew it was, hence why we stopped there, but how it would resonate to not only the people who live in East Nashville, but just Nashville in general.
And we have some video that we want to show. These photos and videos are coming in nonstop. We appreciate it. This is Midtown, near St. Thomas Medical Center as this storm moved through. And we're seeing similar videos like this come in where you can, with the lightning flashes, you can really see a funnel cloud there and a lot of, unfortunately, power outages and explosions. You could see power lines dropping all the time.
My name is Mike Rose. I'm the chief photographer at Channel 5 here in Nashville. Of course, as a television news photographer, I have this instinct to kind of capture the moment. So I grabbed my camera, which was near the front door of the house. I always bring it in with me at night. Put the top light on it, and I just started rolling.
News Channel 5 chief photographer Mike Rose and his wife Lori ride out the tornado in the basement.
Stayed in our little shelter for probably a minute and a half. Still rolling. But as soon as we opened the front door, you know, there's a tree. We looked in the backyard, there's trees. All you can see are branches and limbs and everything everywhere. You know, the tricky thing about having a big story land in your own kind of backyard is you all of a sudden feel the pull to kind of do two things at once. You know, you're trying to take care of your own situation. You know, I'm panicked, my wife is panicked, our house got damage, our neighborhood is completely ruined, and at the same time you have this obligation to cover it as a news story.
Hey, Mike Rose, I know you're on the air live. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so I'm on Genry Drive. This is in Donaldson. This is the Stanford Estates neighborhood. This is 2-3 houses down from mine. I'm at the corner of Downeymead and Genry Drive. Major damage all throughout the neighborhood. Let me gain up here a little bit. So this is one house. This is my neighbor, Paul Boer, lives here. We'll talk to him in a second. And then just next door, this house right here, completely leveled. Technology has evolved in broadcasting so much so that I could take a cellular modem and plug it into the top of my camera and go live and stream straight to air from where I live. The smell of gas is high. The fire department have come through twice now. A police officer has gone house to house to verify that that everybody survived, and so far I'm unaware of any casualties. The gentleman that lives here actually plays a trumpet for the Nashville Symphony, and his wife, they're about to get married in 13 days. She dug through the rubble and was able to pull his trumpet out. But look at this. I mean, just completely gone. I mean, it's just heartbreaking.
News Channel 5 reporter Eric Hilt and photographer Stephen Clapper make it to Donaldson shortly following Rose's report, reporting first at the scene of more destroyed homes. and then at Donaldson Christian Academy, a school which suffered a direct hit.
We went out to the Donaldson area. Everything in Donaldson was dark because all the power was out. Once we got into the neighborhood, you step out and you immediately smell gas. And the one thing that I remember most is this, because it's quiet, except for the beeping of what I believe were carbon monoxide alarms in these homes. And so there's this chorus of this beeping of these alarms, and it's so eerie because there's nothing else. There's no other noise, no light, just this beeping. And it was so, so eerie.
Heather, as you mentioned, we're near DCA. I want to give you a look at what's left of this home. This is on Downeymead Drive. Not a lot left. And there are several homes that look a lot like this. Just wood, possessions thrown everywhere, just pieces of the house still standing that you can just barely tell it was still there. This is a common sight, unfortunately, here on Downeymead Drive tonight.
Every person who came to look at DCA said was, thank God this happened at 1 a.m. and not 1 p.m.
This is it here behind me. This was the elementary wing of the school, and you can see it's flattened. You can look straight down the hallway. You can see the classrooms on either side just devastated, and in the rubble you can see what was left behind in those classrooms. Markers, coloring books, binders, homework. They're all mixed in with all the branches and lumber and bricks that were torn apart by this tornado.
And there were so many people that were coming to see, to try and help. There wasn't a lot of help happening at the time because it was so early, but I mean, teachers and alumni and parents and students and staff all coming to see it with their own eyes. Like most of them, I would say, just immediately starting to cry. We talked with one woman who graduated in 2015, lived right up the street from DCA. Her house had some damage, but she said she cried more when she saw the damage at Donaldson Christian Academy because she just said it was a second home to her.
Live in Donaldson, Eric Hilt, News Channel 5.
Word spreads to the station of severe damage at John C. Toone Airport. The status of News Channel 5's helicopter Sky 5 is unknown. What is known is that the airport is blocked off, and there will be no chance to access it. News Channel 5 General Manager Lynn Plantinga makes middle-of-the-night phone calls looking for available helicopters and pilots. In the aftermath of a natural disaster, aerial footage provides a valuable perspective, both on air and for digital content. Getting them some way, somehow, becomes of paramount importance. News Channel 5 pilot Lance Puglisi locates an available helicopter in Portland, Tennessee, north of Nashville. The disadvantages are numerous. A photographer, camera equipment, and a microwave signal backpack known as a live U will be needed. News Channel 5 commercial producer and Sky 5 photographer Clifton Hunt heads to Portland to engineer the helicopter, then shoot video through the helicopter's open door.
I'm Steve Lehman. I'm the sports anchor at News Channel 5. I've worked here for a little bit over 9 years.
You ever done news before?
No, never.
News Channel 5 sports anchor Steve Lehman, using his iPhone, gives viewers glimpses of damage throughout East Nashville.
I called into the station because at that point I wasn't just awake, I was wide awake and knew what was going on. And I just said, hey guys, Steve Lehman, I'm wide awake and obviously something big is happening. What can I do? Where do you need me? First got to the 5-point scene, I thought, okay, here's my real, this is a big time tornado scene. And it just randomly happened that the last person I interviewed was a gentleman who used to be a television producer in Los Angeles, and one of the shows he helped produce and coordinate was Storm Chasers. But because of his TV knowledge and understanding what I did and who I work for in the city, he said, well, you're a reporter, right? And I said, well, actually I'm a sports anchor, but in this case, I'm a news reporter or a weather reporter or whatever you want it to be. And he said, well, you want me to turn it around and shoot you? And I said, if you don't mind, I would love that. And so our actual first hit, which was probably within 45 minutes of the tornado going through East Nashville, was because a random person who I didn't know 4 minutes earlier happened to have some television background, and he shot the hit. This takes your breath away in the sense that this is a place of peace for so many people, so many days of the year, and certainly Sunday mornings throughout the course of the year, and tonight in the span of 20 or 30 seconds, this type of devastation comes from Mother Nature.
I'm Jason Lamb. I'm a reporter at NewsChannel 5. I've been here for a little over 7 years. Photojournalist Catherine Stewart and I figured the best place for us to go was further out east, where the damage would be newer, and we knew that there wasn't anybody out there yet.
News Channel 5 reporter Jason Lamb and Catherine Stewart navigate their way to Mount Juliet, sending back their first footage just as torrential rain begins to fall.
And it really did just open up on us literally 5 seconds before coming to us here. So these are the elements that people are fighting as they try to get that power back on. But take a look at this. We've made our way closer to West Wilson Middle School. You can see all the trees that have been uprooted, some of them slamming into that building back there. And you can see parts of the building are actually exposed. The fire alarm continues to go off here. And again, Heather, as you were mentioning, this is supposed to be one of the voting sites for today. But extensive damage all throughout the exterior of the school here. And this is really just one part of the damage out here.
After a little bit, it becomes a bit of a logistical problem because, you know, we're out there, our camera didn't have a cover over it. We didn't expect that rain. So
weather than us.
After our live hit, we would, you know, we'd have to run back to the car, get the cover for the camera, extra batteries, things like that. So yeah, it definitely poses a challenge. But in the moment, right as it's happening, there's nothing you can do. It was still so dark outside that we couldn't see exactly how bad the damage was. So, you know, we brought as many lights as we could and walked up to it, shining these big panel lights onto the school. And that's when we realized just how bad it was out there.
News Channel 5 investigates photographer-producer Brian Staples is dispatched to Germantown in East Nashville with a drone waiting for sunrise. His are the first aerial shots of the destruction.
As you get to first light and just realize just how widespread this is, not just in Nashville, but to think about the fact that that particular tornado happened to be on the ground for nearly 60 miles is just unbelievable.
And you have to imagine, you know, we were talking earlier about praying about the keeping the damage and the death and the injuries to a minimum. Can you imagine what this would have been like in the middle of the day with so many people here at work, across the street at the middle school? It is just absolutely difficult to put into words. And as we are seeing more and more of this damage, we will be sending these pictures to you.
I was, I think, the very first class to ever attend West Wilson Middle School when it was opened. I was the very first 7th grade class to go there. It was heartbreaking. It's still heartbreaking.
News Channel 5 creative services producer Kevin Miller is sent to hard-hit Wilson County. Shots from his personal drone reveal the storm's fury.
Teachers who have messaged me and just can't believe how bad the devastation is at those schools. I can't even imagine what it would have been like had school been in session.
There's no good time for a tornado. There are different risks based on different times of the day. You know, you could say, well, it tracked across an interstate, crossing an interstate multiple times. What if that had been during rush hour? But you could also say if it had been during rush hour, people would be awake.
Look at these images of just intense, incredible damage.
Hunt and Puglisi come through. Helicopter aerials reveal the damage, first in Germantown and East Nashville, and later at John C. Toon Airport. Somewhere under all this wreckage, is Sky 5.
I can't tell you how devastating it is to lose Sky 5 the way that we did, because that's just an immeasurable tool to have in a situation like this. It can just go pretty much everywhere. There's not a flight restriction, you know, and instantly broadcast that live content. And to lose that tool was devastating.
I want to show you this right here. This is a church in this neighborhood.
News Channel 5 reporter Jesse Knutsen's regular beats include entertainment and focusing on Nashville's building boom, a stark contrast to what awaited him in North Nashville.
I think no matter what you normally cover, it's weird covering a tornado.
Just some neighbors, I don't know who these people are. They just came down the street and asked for some help. Did I need some help? They helping me. God is good. Put some tarp on the roof, I didn't know what to do. But God is good, and Nashville is the good people in Nashville all the time. So just remember that, Nashville. Like I say, look at all these people helping out. I don't even know these people. They just came down the street. Do you need some help? I said, I definitely do.
So when I came in and I saw what was actually here, it changes from a thing of work to a thing. It's a vocational thing. You want to go out there, you want to tell these stories, you want to get these people help. You just go into a different mindset as a reporter. It changes from a job to just helping in the way that you can.
The campus of Tennessee State University also suffers damage. News Channel 5 reporter Mo Hyder and photographer Brian Hallett are first to the scene.
Hey, yeah, this is TSU's campus. I'm on Ed Temple Boulevard, just right outside the Ag Center, where the Ag Center was.
Unfortunately, they suffered a lot of damage, especially their ag building. Some of the animals were let loose. A lot of farming equipment goes in there, so I saw all of that outside.
Just look at the roof. You can see holes are on both sides, and nearly half of it is damaged. Just a chicken coop right over here. You can see the walls of it even bent over. Even this piece of it here snapped off and also bent over.
When I was in TSU's campus in North Nashville, I mean, it was pouring down. You know, Brian and I were soaking wet.
T and the S sign is still intact, but the U has fallen apart. Also, somehow the entrance sign to the building is also there, but again, the damage very significant here. You can see up in the wires up there, sheet metal siding just wrapped around those poles. It's hard to believe this is a college, the entrance to a college campus.
We're redirected to Putnam County, where the death toll that time, you know, was in the teens.
Mo Hyder is there to bring us the very latest. A very sobering news conference held by officials not long ago.
He does say the devastating news is they can confirm 16 people, in fact, have died from this tornado, and so far more than 60 are injured.
You know, inside, it's just like a normal house like I or someone else grew up in. You would see furniture, appliances, kitchen stuff, things that you just don't think about, just like splattered everywhere. One of them, I saw 3 cars just tossed to the side, like, you know, like they were just toys or something like that.
Putnam County was entirely a different world. Mount Juliet was bad. Putnam County was so much worse, just in what it looked like. We pulled up to the neighborhood that had been hit the hardest, and I just didn't have any words. There weren't any words to describe what it looked like. I had never seen anything like that before, not even close. We found Chester Bush. He was going through the rubble of what used to be his home.
That's where I come into the house from the garage, was where the brick steps are right there in the garage. And I had a little utility room right here and had a refrigerator in it, a refrigerator in the house, and they're all gone.
And the rest is here behind you?
Yes, and my house was right here.
I think what stuck with me the most out there was in this huge scene of destruction. What mattered to him the most were these smallest of items, these pictures. He was looking for his military medals, any slides that he had from his military service, and just years ago of memories.
Camera batteries, phone chargers, and food became the next concern. There is no question, coverage will continue all morning. Assistant News Director Michelle Bonnet makes deliveries to the news crews.
I charge my phones when I sleep, and the problem with that was I did not sleep before coming in. So I have 2 phones. I have a personal phone and a work phone. Neither one, when I arrived at work, had more than 20% battery, which is a problem when you're going to be out for 16, 17 hours.
The list of reporter and photographer assignments grows longer. Scripps-owned stations in Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Lexington, Kentucky pledged news crews to travel to Nashville to assist in coverage.
There were so many times when we were walking around and we would be on the air, and I would try to tell people where we were standing, the corner of what street and what street, and I would look up for a street sign, and there were no street signs because the street signs had just been blown over.
Folks were fast asleep when the winds came through. Street signs out here have been strewn across downtown Nashville. There are businesses out here that have been completely destroyed.
And I remember when we got just to the Buena Vista neighborhood, kind of North Germantown, all that, we were sitting there and there was a place we got to where we couldn't go down the road. And the houses at the end of it were very bad off, and everything sort of around was. And I thought, if they've actually blocked this road off, I'm scared what's on the other side.
I've covered tornadoes before, but never one that hit a population center just like this. Not only what we were seeing on TV in Nashville, but out in Mount Juliet, especially when the sun came up and we really got to see the full extent of the damage. It really was like nothing I'd ever seen before.
And just seeing the scope of it for the first time, I mean, it took your breath away in the worst way possible. And on top of that, when the sun comes up, all of these residents are coming out for the first time as well to see that their home is gone.
And this is the spot I was early this morning at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Things look incredibly different now that it's daylight and you can really see this devastation. This home here behind me flattened and the home next to it destroyed as well.
But you couldn't grasp, oh my gosh, this neighborhood's gone, or this is widespread in the area. And when the light really started to hit it, then all of a sudden it became, man, this street pretty much disappeared in a lot of ways. And that's hard to take because you know there's so many people there and the population is dense and you don't know what the outcome of some of that's going to be. And obviously, you know, you never want to see any destruction, but you're hoping that it's as little as possible. And when you start to see entire streets or entire neighborhoods where there's significant destruction, you know this was a really bad storm.
And I just remember driving down the street and seeing literally people they were just gobsmacked. You could see them just kind of in shock because things had fallen on their cars. Literally top floors were gone from buildings. It was like a bad movie.
As I came onto Ellington Parkway, there were white bricks in the road, and I drive that road every day, and I remember thinking, I don't know where the nearest white brick building is to this road. I have no idea where these bricks came from, and I just hope to God they're okay. And just seeing, you know, when you stumble upon debris that you're like, I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that originated. And it's so stilling.
There are a lot of places that were destroyed in a matter of minutes to the ground. There's no more.
We were standing in the middle of East Nashville and I was looking around at all of the devastation, and I knew that I was leaving Channel 5 and that I was leaving Nashville, and I looked at this woman who was standing on her porch and I just said to her, I said, this isn't how I want to remember this place. And she said, it's okay, we're going to be okay.
You do have these moments where you just kind of feel this human connection, you know what I mean? And people, for once, have kind of come together over a common issue. And unfortunately, it happened to be an F3 and an F4 tornado. You know, like Mr. Rogers says, you always try to find the helpers, you know, and they're everywhere, you know, and that's fun. Covering that part of the story is just, you know, the volunteer effort.
You know, I think we all get into the business because we care about the stories and we care about the people in our community. And whether it's your first day or your last day, you want to go out there and you want to tell these stories, you want to help these people, and you want to give the community an understanding about what's happening, whether it be in their community or one that's hundreds of miles away.
We got lots of volunteers out here. We got Greg and Lacey here. You guys don't live in the neighborhood, you just wanted to come out here and help.
Right, correct. Yeah, I was involved in the 2010 flood and lost everything in the flood, and we had a lot of volunteers like Hands on Nashville and other people just showed up at our door, spent weeks helping us out, and when I saw the news today of this devastation, I really wanted to help everybody else out too.
It's the South. We still care about one another. Doesn't matter if the people were here in '98 and remember that tornado. They're lifelong Nashvillians, Tennesseans. They've lived here for a day, a week, a month, a year. Everybody's coming together and supporting their neighbors.
And I think that's what makes Tennessee the volunteer state, because people will come out. I've never worked in any city, and I've worked in a number of them, where people will, as soon as something happens, get together and make a plan and decide what can we do to help.
And the stories of survival have just been heart-stilling over the last couple days, and it doesn't erase the 25 beautiful faces that we're never going to see again. But I'm so glad it wasn't more.
News Channel 5 remained on the air with no commercial breaks for 20 and a half hours. In all, News Channel 5 had 23 reporters and 21 photographers live on location in the hours following the tornadoes.
It is my distinct honor to work at Channel 5.
I love working here. I've been here almost 30 years.
There's no better place, I am convinced, to work in television news than News Channel 5 here in Nashville.
There's no other place in the world I'd rather work.
Channel 5 has been fantastic. It's one of the best news stations in the country, one of the best places I've ever worked, and the people here are just really what makes it so special.
I couldn't imagine doing it anywhere else.
Could not imagine not being here. When it came through and we realized we were safe, there was not a thought in my mind. It was like, I'm calling and I'm going in. And I worked for some stations in the past that would not have been my first thought.
It's moments like that that make me appreciate Channel 5 and kind of the legacy of the station. It's a privilege to work here. The station has been through so much in its long history.
But when an event like this happens, the mission, the purpose of what we do becomes very clear very quickly.
Unlike any place I've ever worked before, I really feel like News Channel 5 is part of the Nashville community, and that the Nashville community feels like News Channel 5 is part of the community.
I think the response to the tornadoes really showed why working at News Channel 5 is so great. The fact that everybody came in, the fact that everybody was willing to drop what they were doing and help out.
This is a station that allows in-depth stories, storytelling, thinking outside of the box, and I think that all culminated the first week since this tornado, and it's something I won't forget.
I loved working at News Channel 5. How could I not? It was, and I knew that all of my coworkers had my back throughout all of this. I knew that we were in this fight together, that we were all tired and all struggling, but that we were on a mission to do good and keep our community safe and keep them informed and just tell the stories of this tragedy.